Chapter 3.5 Golden Opportunity. Deegan led Retta to Nika's gold ship and snuck past Nika's crew along the way. They were easy to recognize. Thick, gold chains dangled from their necks, their gilded sunglasses glinted with diamonds, and their clothes were trimmed with gold. Everything Nika touched turned to gold, and, usually, for the worse. Deegan and Retta neared Nika's ship. 3 guards sat watch at a table, playing holo cards. "I'll handle this," Deegan said. He swiped his hand over his face. A holographic sparkle shimmered, and, in an instant, his face changed. Deegan looked like a gaunt, malnourished street urchin, and before he explained what happened to Red, he hobbled to the guards with his duffel bag. "Please," he stuttered for pity. "Can we siphon just a few drops of fuel? We have nothing. We just need to start our ship." The guards laughed and looked at each other. "Beat it, kid. Nothing in this world's free." "I can trade." "Trade? You." Deegan dropped the duffel bag at the guard's feet, fell to his knees, and unzipped the bag. 2 guards watched him while the third looked in the bag. What's in here?" The guard leaned in and didn't believe what he saw. "Links?" The guard grabbed a link from the bag and confirmed it was real. The second and third guard were impressed. "Burner links would be nice," the third guard said. "We could get out of Nika's sight for once and not be tracked." "Yeah." The guard mulled over and snatched Deegan's duffel bag. "Make it quick, beggar." He pocketed the link for himself. "And do it before Nika gets back." Of course." Deegan bowed his head graciously and took his siphon from the duffel bag. "Of course." The guard led Deegan to the ship's struts. He tapped a key at the side, and Nika's vaulted ship lowered to the ground, no longer propped above the rest. Deegan bowed his head graciously and shuffled to the ship. The guards stared at Deegan for a moment, then returned to their game and toyed with their new bounty of links. Deegan waved for Retta to follow before they noticed. She skirted over to him, and he whispered, "Key, how'd you change your face?" "It's my augment," he interrupted in a rush. "Now, the key." Retta passed it into Deegan's hand. He found a small keyhole behind the ship. With a quick twist, a small service hatch opened. "Ahem," Retta interrupted and held her hand out. "I swiped the ship's key. I keep the key." She needed some leverage over Deegan. He smiled and threw the key back to Retta. "Sure, and since you swiped the key, ladies first." Retta stepped through the service hatch and entered Nika's ship. The lights flickered, then illuminated the hull. Nika's ship was the opposite of Tobias's. His ship was bare metal essentials, while Nika's was a hoarder's paradise. Dense, overgrown vines crept along the ceiling and blotted out the lights. They slithered down the shelves, overflowing with Nika's golden knickknacks. Gold plates, gold rings, gold chains, and gold knives were part of Nika's glorious golden collage. The walls beamed radiance, and Nika's ship was a swath of green and gleaming gold. Whoa. Retta marveled at Nika's dense patchwork of spoils. She nosed through the shelves until she came face to face with a golden skull. "A ship tells a lot about a person," Deegan said as they walked to the cockpit. "What's your ship say about you?" Retta asked. "You'll have to see it and tell me yourself." "Is that an invite?" "Maybe." He teased her, but she wanted to know more. Behind Deegan's back, Retta looked at her baton. Retta took a deep breath, shut her eyes, let in the thoughts, and tried to focus on Deegan's. 6. What am I going to do with a 6? Fold. No. Stay. No. Wait. Hold. Art can never read me. Bob's got to be an idiot if he thinks I can't read him. He always does that thing where he shuffles his cards when he has a bad hand. She didn't hear Deegan's thoughts. She heard the guards outside. "Focus, Red," she told herself, and the guard's thoughts slowly faded into the background. "That's it." She took slow breaths. Calmly. "Hey," Deegan said, his voice trailing further away. You coming? Yep. She'd try again later. Retta followed Deegan down Nika's hall of trinkets. Her taste was gaudy, but oddly charming. There were gold elephants, golden Buddhas, gold-rimmed guns, and a single lone gold tooth. Retta had a feeling it was new. The root still had a congealed clot around it. Was the gold gratuitous? Absolutely. But Red couldn't deny that Nika had a penchant for sentimentality. Yo, Deegan called out from the cockpit. Over here. Retta brushed past the overgrown vines and shimmied through the gluttony of gold to the cockpit. The yoke was, as Red guessed, gold. But it was different than Tobias's dash. While his was lined with half-empty liquor bottles and rolling empty beer cans, Nika's dash was lined with photos. Retta was surprised. They were printed and framed. Kinda old school, right? Deegan said as he watched Red. Yeah. Very. Can I get that key again? Retta didn't notice Deegan. She was distracted by a photo of Nika with 5 others. One person's face was scribbled out in black ink. Red? The key? Right, yeah. She pulled out the key and mindlessly handed it to Deegan. Something about the photo tugged at Retta's curiosity. All right, give me a sec, Deegan said, but his voice faded from Retta's attention. She leaned closer to the photo. The face was scribbled out, but she knew the other details. The purple and white pilot's jacket, the slumped-over shoulders and careless pomp as he leaned against the wall, the metal claws on his gloves and the white, fluffy puppy at his side. That scribbled-out face was Tobias's. And considering how small of a puppy Alpha was in the photo was from a long time ago. You still looking at that? Deegan asked as the key slid into its slot. Yeah. You know these guys? He looked at the photo. Well, I definitely know her. He pointed at Nika, her silver eyes and golden canine unmistakable. She dangled her legs over a ledge with her knee propped up and wore her cocky, brimming smile from ear to ear. Not sure about these others, Deegan continued, completely ignoring the other 3. Can't make out this guy, he said, passing by the scribbled-out Tobias. But I do know him, he said, and pointed to a man at the opposite end of Nika. He stood a strange distance from the others. His arms were crossed. Half his face was obscured by shadow, and a raw, red gash cut across his eye. Light gleamed off a single tear rolling down his cheek. Leaky Eye Luca, Deegan said. Leaky Eye, Retta thought. Memories of her mother's articles rose to the surface. Luca was the guy Jimbo said put a bounty on my Baton. And me. A beep came from Deegan's link, and he looked at his screen. 1 sec. While he read his link screen, Retta snapped a pic of the photo. She wanted to know more about Nika, Tobias, Luca, and those 3 others. Ah, shit, Deegan said and shook his head. We gotta go. Why? She asked. What happened? The guards are moving, he said and showed his link. On its screen, 3 dots moved towards them. I tagged those links. They took the bait, but they're coming. Coming, but not here yet, Retta realized. She hadn't heard their thoughts. Can I hear Deegan's before they get here? She concentrated, shut her eyes, and listened. She slowed her breath, centered her body, and from behind her, heard the tiniest of ripples. Those must be the guard's thoughts. Then a strong pulse radiated beside her. Deegan. As Red fell deeper and deeper into focus, the physical world melted around her. Her mind was at ease, and she felt like she floated in an ethereal sea. Her body was the ship, her mind was the anchor, and underneath the water's surface were tiny islands of minds waiting to be explored. Retta concentrated her thoughts, cast her consciousness like an anchor, and felt it snag on Deegan's mind. Got it. She pulled herself closer and closer. Unrecognizable sounds rippled through the water, and when Red approached, they only grew more dissonant. What is this? The thoughts she expected to hear were garbled static. It hissed, louder and louder, and the static was overwhelming. Sluka. Hero. Red. Small words leaked through the noise. but she couldn't decipher what thoughts laid underneath. This sounds so different. It was like the words were intentionally ciphered. Is he hiding something? She closed her eyes to return to reality, and when she opened them, a bright red glow burned in front of her. A building was on fire. The flames billowed out shattered windows. Sharp, jagged glass lined the frames. Red, fiery fury danced in the reflections and melted metal in the inferno. The crackle of burning wood and the horrifying smell of burnt skin billowed from the building. Retta stood, frozen, observing it in Deegan's mind's eye while viscerally feeling its heat. What the hell is this? She thought. The building just appeared in front of her. Her baton glowed bright blue-green, and all surrounding the building was an infinite black abyss. Where am I? Where am I? The flames were consuming the building, swallowing it, engulfing it whole. All she saw was red. 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 Red! Deegan yelled, and Retta snapped back to reality. The heat disappeared, but Retta felt a trail of sweat down her back and a cold shiver up her spine. We have to go, Deegan repeated. Are you good? Yeah, she lied. Yeah, I'm good. Deegan was in Nika's pilot seat, and Retta sat beside him. She strapped herself in and heard the guards rapping their fists against the hull. They're here. We gotta go. Deegan flicked a switch and engaged the thrusters. What the hell was that? Retta wondered. She didn't know what happened. It was the first time she saw images with the baton. Was that in Deegan's mind? She felt a final ember flame singe her wrist, and when she looked, the baton's glow slowly faded. The ink spread, and as the liquid cooled, a silhouette of a burnt man's face inked itself on her skin. What is this? The engine whirred to life and droned behind them. The ship shook, rattled, and lurched off the ground. The rapping fists stopped, and the ship went quiet, but only for a moment. Seconds later, a shower of metallic pings bounced off the ship. It's fine, Deegan said, flicked the switch, and engaged the thrust. We'll be fine. A bullet broke through the hull. It ricocheted off the wall and smashed one of Nika's golden plates. Another bullet came, and his skull shattered into a metallic gold spray. A third, then a fourth came, bounced off the wall, and blasted the glass picture frame. The glass sprayed against them, and Retta and Deegan ducked for cover. It's fine, Deegan said, his voice cracking with a blatant lie. 2 more bullets ricocheted over their heads, and Deegan tried to push the thrusters. The ship wasn't moving. Deegan! She yelled as another bullet cracked through. It whizzed past Retta's neck and skimmed Deegan's hand. He recoiled in pain and looked at the warm, bright blood trickling down his hand. Shit! He whispered. He gripped the yoke, but the blood streamed down his limp and injured hand. Oh, that hurts! Retta unclipped her seatbelt and leaned over Deegan. I got it. She snatched the yoke from his grip, felt his warm blood against her palm, but didn't care. They needed to move. They needed to... Another bullet shot through the hull. She grabbed the thrust and pushed, and finally Nika's ship blasted off. The issue was that it sped forward toward the market, not upward. Red, ascend! Ascend! The ship shot forward towards the Dragon Spine market. He wrapped his hand around hers. Their fingers interlocked. She felt his strong, warm grip, and they both pulled the yoke. They tilted the ship's nose to the sky, the thrusters to the ground, and sent a spray of hot desert sand at Nika's men behind them. The ship narrowly skimmed the market stands, grazed their tops, and dragged sheet metal with its underhull. Higher! Deegan said. I'm trying! Retta shot back. Deegan's bloodied hand wrapped around hers in panic and pulled them upward. It's not going. We're too heavy. Deegan looked in desperation. Hold on, he yelled. Neither he nor Retta had seatbelts fastened, but he didn't care. It was life or death. Deegan flicked a switch and opened the rear hull doors. Immediately, a wind cyclone formed behind them, pulling them like a whirlpool as the ship careened sky high. Retta held on for her life, but her grip was slipping from Deegan's wet bloodstain on the yoke. Deegan! I can't hold on! I got you. He squeezed his bloodied, injured hand tighter over hers. The entire ship shook. The shells rattled and broke. Nika's golden souvenirs fell to the floor, flew out the rear, and were sucked into the sky. They glistened in the sun-baked air, fell to the market down below, and landed at the feet of stray urchins and merchants. It was the first rainfall the desert had seen in millennia, and here it showered gold. Nika's riches fell into the stores, hands and palms of the desperate merchants down below. The picture, Retta thought, and saw it jostling on the dash. I gotta save the picture. She reached for it, but the ship trembled, the frame fell, and the photo fluttered into the wind. Down in the market, Nika watched the chaos, her ship, and her collection reign over the market. What the hell is going on with my ship? She sneered as the desert sun caught the angry glint of her golden canine. Nika's ship was careening out of control by two young, reckless pilots, and her back was to Tobias. Unorthodox, Lil Red, he thought, unsheathing his claws. But I kinda like it. He snuck up behind Nika and smiled at Retta's wild piloting, while the photo of Nika, Tobias, and the others fluttered in the wind.